Claus from Elf the Musical.
Well, it started out originally completely differently. It started out, it was on top of the Empire State Building.
Yes.
And it was still the same moment where, finally, jaded character sees Santa Claus fly through the sky.
It was all about, creating up-tempo, catchy, kind of jingly songs. We really wanted to make sure that it had a sort of just always, forward-driving momentum, and everything should feel like it would fit right into a holiday Christmas sampler, but still function as a musical theater song. Michael sees Santa's sleigh fly by the window. I saw a tiny sleigh make its tiny way right across the sky. There wasn't time to think, there wasn't time to blink before it zoomed right by. And everything I knew, and everything that you knew too is absolutely now untrue, because without a doubt there is a Santa Claus. And then Emily sees him fly by. I just saw him too, yet my whole life through he seemed fake to me. Couldn't Santa see what a fantasy he appears to be? And everything I thought is tangled up in one big knot. The world out there has clearly got its flaws. I know I've had my doubts before, but now there's proof I can't ignore. So why deny it anymore? There is a Santa Claus. I believe it was right around the time of Wedding Singer that Mark Kaufman, the lead producer, came to us and said, I have a great idea I want to talk to you about. And when he mentioned Elf, we completely freaked out. We both said yes immediately.
Yeah, there was no, sometimes you're like, well, I don't know if I see it, but we were just like completely over the moon about the idea. And it was just so great because it's, Buddy singing throughout the movie. It's just so musical that you never feel like it's artificial for these characters to sing. And then we had the idea to take the character of Jovi and make her someone who does not sing. And of course, he inspires her so much that she sings, and at the end she sort of saves the day by singing. So it just felt like there were all these great ways to integrate music into the storytelling. Yeah. We were looking at the piece and we decided, Buddy has got to think that his dad is amazing, so that he gets completely crushed when he meets this horrible Scrooge-like character. Yeah. So we thought it would be this great thing that, to sort of have Buddy describe what he thinks his dad is going to be like, and they're going to eat Toll House cookie dough, and they're going to snuggle, and he gets there, and none of that's going to happen. So it was one of the first songs we actually wrote that's still in the show. A dad who's a million miles away. When he meets me, who knows what he'll see? But deep down I know I shouldn't be afraid, 'cause he's bound to be a lot like me, and will make angels in the snow till the snow begins to blow. Then we'll run inside and start a tickle fight. And if it's too cold to sled, we'll eat gingerbread instead, and then cuddle till he tucks me in at night. And we'll have our pictures taken for the Christmas cards we're making, him and me in suits of matching plaid. And when people see us walking, they'll be Google-eyed and gawking at Buddy and the world's greatest dad. We'll spend mornings holding hands and making plans on whether to play jacks or kick the can. Then for lunch a ginger snap, then a nap to fill the gap between building forts and playing Superman. And if his back gives him a spasm, well, every good dad has him. I'll bring him cocoa and a heating pad. It's a scene inside a snow globe, it's a very apropos globe, just Buddy and the world's greatest dad. And then he gets to New York. My favorite part was sort of, before we started writing, I just envisioned Buddy the elf just, walking in the streets of Manhattan singing show tunes. And that seemed to be the way in. Right.
Yeah, so you just kind of try to capture that childhood innocence and keep everything simple but sounding fresh.
We did a bunch of different numbers to open Act 2, and we sort of couldn't land on anything. And we started talking about the song "The Most Wonderful Time of the Year," and thought, well, what if it was the opposite of that? But that didn't seem right. So we were in a cab, and Casey, our director, said something about it should be.
It should be just about people. Nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares anymore. And I remember in the cab just going, nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares about Santa. And Casey was like, okay, I like that. And that's kind of how we started that number in a cab. And then I kind of went home and finished the chorus, sent the music to Chad, and then we started doing the verse. And I think it kind of evolved from there.
First it was going to be, because we like the idea of disgruntled out-of-work Santas singing and dancing together, and at first it was going to be in a bar. And they're like, it's a family show.
Yeah, we were not allowed to do that.
And so Tom Meehan said, well, what about a Chinese restaurant? That's, they're open on Christmas Eve. So it sort of evolved into this whole moment that's not in the movie at all.
Used to be, I'd stand on the busiest corner, ring my bell, and make the people smile. Nowadays, they pass me by, and who knows why? Could it be that old Saint Nick's gone out of style? Well, nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares about Santa. They read their list, then you get dismissed, 'cause nobody cares about Santa Claus. Used to be, the kids waited hours to see me. All that joy would almost make you cry. Now they think I'm just passé, some dumb cliche, and it makes me wonder why I even try. Well, nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares about Santa. You once were revered, now they yank off your beard, 'cause nobody cares about Santa Claus. Is this all a sign? Is this just an awful sign of a sad decline, a miserable sad decline? I never knew such disrespect could ever have existed. No wonder this whole city has been naughty listed. Ho, 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 ho. Then it goes into a dance break. About Santa Claus.
Well, the story of Buddy the Elf, the idea was that, Walter wouldn't be able to come up with an idea to pitch his boss, and that Buddy would sort of, on the fly, tell the story, start pitching the story of his life, and everybody would sort of join in. And originally Matt had the tune for the verse for a long time, like from the beginning.
Yeah, originally I wanted to use Buddy's trip to New York was going to be sort of like, it was kind of a jaunty trip to New York, so the tune, we didn't have lyrics for it for this version, but it was dum dum da da dum bum 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 ba dum bum. And that was going to be what ended up being part of his trip to New York, and but it didn't quite fit there. We need something a little more up-tempo, so I always had this tune in my back pocket, and then when we were talking about the song, I sort of thought it would fit there.
We realized, it would be great, because it's sort of, thoughtful, and it can sort of start slowly with him sort of, uncomfortably trying to help out and not sure how do you pitch a book, and then sort of building into this sort of raucous chorus as everybody gets excited.
Page 1, fresh out of toys, Santa makes his way back. When he hears a small noise from inside of his pack, a sound that's not unlike a baby's cry, it's enough to get the jolly guy perplexed. And, come on, Buddy, what comes next?
Greenway says, a baby inside Santa's bad. It's not a bad start, Walter. He's buying it. Keep going.
Page 2, back from his ride, Santa gathers his elves, and they quickly quickly decide they'll raise the baby themselves. The North Pole isn't made for humans though, and soon the phony elf begins to grow so tall. He, and Walter sings, learns he's human after all.
Right, good one, Dad.
It's the story of Buddy the Elf. It's the story of Buddy the Elf. It's the story of, it's kind of brilliant if I say so myself. It's the story of Buddy the Elf.
Greenway says, so the baby finds out he's human, then what? And Buddy goes, well, he goes to New York and
Walter interrupts. Page 3, his father's at work when Buddy walks through the door. His dad is sort of a jerk and Buddy's banned from the floor. His father's not prepared to be a dad to a son he never knew he had, but soon he'll be forced to change his tune. It's the story of Buddy the Elf. It's the story of Buddy the Elf. It's the story of, and the books will fly right off the shelf. It's the story of Buddy the Elf. I love it, I love it, I do. I love it, I love it, I do. I love that story, love that story, love that story. He loved that story, and the full company. He loved that story, love that story, love that story. It's the story of Buddy the Elf. It's the story of Buddy the Elf. It's the story of, and the books will fly right off the shelf. It's the story of Buddy, and the point of the story is maybe that it's never too late to grow, and the books will fly right off of the shelf. It's the story of Buddy the Elf. Ooh, the elf. I love it, I love it, I do. The elf. I love that story, love that story, love that story. That's the story of Buddy the Elf. That's the story of Buddy the Elf.
with one person.
Exactly, yes. It's a great feeling to watch all of the little kids, many of them experiencing their first Broadway show, and watching them just kind of light up. There's a moment at the end of the show where you can see the house lights sort of come up a little bit, so you can see kids, and you just watch them sort of freaking out at the end of the show, and it's really a great feeling.
You can just tell that they're so excited to see a Broadway show, and like you said, for some of them it's their first time ever seeing live theater, and you know, I remember for me how that opened up a whole new world, and that's all I wanted to do with my life, and all it took was just one live musical theater performance. So, you know, to hope that, you know, some kid like that out there gets to see the show and maybe learns all about musical theater and finds the passion that I did, or that you did, or that we all did, you know, is sort of would be a dream come true.
Go ask 100 single girls from here to Philadelphia. They'll say it's clear as day you're in for sleepless nights. If you date a guy who has a thing for tights, oh, never fall in love. Oh, never fall in love. Never fall in love with an elf. It's as clear as a jingle bell. If you are single, well, don't fall in love with an elf.